Hello and welcome to our 2013 Digital Arts, Film, and Television Awards show. Students from Marysville High School's Communication Arts program annually submit video projects for a review. This year, 11 entries were submitted to the DAFT judges. We are proud to announce that all 11 entries earned awards. The categories for this year's videos include news and magazine programs, documentaries and events programs, short movies, public service announcements, general entertainment, animation, and sports. The awards presentation was held in late April at the Detroit Institute of Arts. Now, let's take a look back at some of the past school year's best programs. First up, earning an excellence ranking, was Molly Elger and Cammie Bacon's promotional video about technology use at Marysville High School.
Technology has played an important role in the lives of students at Marysville High School. In the last 5 years, the average composite ACT scores at Marysville High School have increased by almost 2 points. Because of the new technology that has been introduced to our high school in recent years, students have been given more opportunities to further their education. Marysville High School's principal, Mr. Farnsworth, agrees that technology has aided students in their ability to learn and their readiness to succeed in future endeavors.
The new technology in our school, I feel we're very fortunate to have the smart boards, the computer labs, the teachers have iPads. This year we allow students to bring in their own devices. I think it's a huge benefit for our students. It's going to help them prepare for the future. And again, our community stepped up and built this 21st century high school, and I think our students are taking great advantage of it. Technology has improved our school and our student performance, I believe, greatly. Our test scores in the last 5 years on the ACT have risen each and every year. The engagement of our students, the feedback they get using technology, the interactions I see the students using to communicate. Again, it's preparing them for post-secondary opportunities and future careers, and the students must be able to use technology and have all the world's information right at their fingertips.
Marysville gives students the option to bring in their own electronic devices to assist them in their learning. Students have taken great advantage of this privilege.
Well, I like to bring my iPad, and it's definitely really useful in the classroom with taking notes and different kinds of things like that. And it's just really nice to be able to use your own technology instead of having to leave it at home and make it go to waste.
Teachers are also equipped with the proper technology to be able to teach their students to their best abilities. With devices such as iPads, smart boards, and social networking sites, teachers can offer a new approach to education.
The iPad really benefits me in the classroom as a teacher because I'm able to move from item to item a lot faster. I don't have to worry about changing programs on the smart board. I can just turn off the reflection app and go right into using my smart board. Also, I'm able to let the students use the computer while I'm using the iPad, and so I'm able to save a lot of time. I think my students benefit from the iPad in the classroom because there's less downtime. Transitions move much faster. They're able to take things that we've done on the iPad and go back over them because I wasn't able to erase them on the smart board or on a whiteboard, and so they benefit from being able to go back in and see what we've done. Also, there's a lot of really great math apps out there that we're able to use on the iPad, and so they can kind of play around with those to see how things really work.
I feel like the way she incorporates the use of technology and how it can get a lot of the students involved more, and I think it raises the comfort level of some students in the class, and they feel like they can participate, and I think that's pretty important in learning, but in a better way.
As a teacher, it's nice because one nice thing is you can have something saved from the earlier hours, so maybe I'll work out a problem in first hour and then I already have it done by the time I get to second hour and so on. So that saves some time, and just to save things from year to year so that you have that. And it's also nice if some students do a really nice presentation or a really nice job that we can use that for years that follow.
I use technology in a few ways. The first way that I set up right at the beginning is I give my students my email address and I let them ask me questions until 9:30 every night. So if they forgot something or they need a little bit of help or they have a part of the essay that they just can't get, they can send it my way and then I send it back to them with my corrections on it. Another way that I do it is with Facebook. I have a separate Facebook account for students, and I have a group for my AP Comp students. And so as long as students friend me, then they can ask me questions that way. We can have a conversation if we're in kind of a group setting. And then the third way that I do it is through Edmodo. I just started that this year. Because I have freshmen, they're not that reliable in keeping things organized and different things like that. And so what I do is I upload basically every assignment that I give onto Edmodo so then they can access it and print it off or type it and send it back my way. So that way they have opportunities to get points even though they lost their sheet, and that also kind of gives them responsibility because it puts it on them. Well, I definitely think it benefits their students because they have my help basically at all times. 7 days a week they can email me or ask me a message on Facebook or ask a question on Edmodo, and so then I'm accessible to them, and so it gives them, you know, that one-on-one that we might not get in a classroom of 30, but then, you know, they feel comfortable enough. You know, some people are shy in class, but they feel comfortable enough to ask me through email when you're not face-to-face, and so it works that way as well. I think it makes me a better teacher. You know, my number one priority is to have, you know, if I'm gonna, I have high expectations. I think that's known through everywhere, but if I'm gonna expect that of my students, I need to expect it of myself too, and being available for them at those times, you know, and making sure that all assignments are uploaded and asking any questions that they need to. I think it's my duty, and so as long as I'm there for them as I'm supposed to be, then they should have that also investment that I have.
I have two teachers that take advantage of Edmodo, my English teacher and my history teacher. So I'm able to keep up with any assignments that they give us and any upcoming tests, answers to certain things like answer keys, those are all up on Edmodo, so I use that. Edmodo also offers a smartphone app that you can download right onto any smartphone. So I always have my iPhone with me, so if I'm not on the computer on the Edmodo website, I can just open up the app and see everything right from there and do the same things that I could do right on the website. So it's nice to have a portable version as well.
I use my website to help my students in a way that allows them to get information that's readily available to them any time of day. I try to find tutorials for math questions or websites that explain things that allow them to get help if I'm not available at their house or after school, or if we've missed each other because I've been absent or they've been absent. Additionally, in my other courses like psychology, I've used it to present links to articles or other websites that they can get into some of these topics that they have a passion for, or get a little more in depth than we do in our introductory course. I encourage them to use it each and every chapter. I try to break out in each chapter a separate page on my website so they have access to the different material. That way they don't get lost and bombarded in Chapter 7 material when we're only in Chapter 3. I update it pretty regularly every chapter that I go through and make sure the links are active and that the sites are credible. And as I come across new sites, I'm constantly adding them in, or videos or articles that I find.
This website tells me like everything. If I need help, there's really interesting articles that help you with like the lesson. Also, every lesson, every like chapter that we do, we have a guided reading outline, and he gives you one sheet. And if you lose the sheet, you can go on there and get a new one, print it off, and that's really helpful. And he also has like what we're doing next. So if like I finish the GRO from last chapter, I can go to the next chapter already. And then, like I said, there's always like articles on there that are really interesting, and I really enjoy those.
Besides having tangible technology, students are also given the opportunity to take courses online, such as foreign language or sociology.
I think it gives them an opportunity to take classes that aren't offered here, for one. It also helps with credit recovery if a student struggled with a class and there's just not room for them in the traditional setup that they can come to the online class and get different instruction versus a one-on-one with a teacher. Now it's, you know, there's more videos, there's more games, puzzles, things to do online versus that traditional classroom. So, you know, it benefits the advanced students as well. If there's an AP class that a student's interested in, that we don't happen to offer, it is available online to them too.
I really like that Marysville offers online classes because it lets me get out of the classroom atmosphere, and it offers students a new way of learning rather than having the teachers actually like right there in front of them teaching like 29 other students. It gives a more one-on-one kind of feel to the class, and it's more flexible, like it works with your schedule better, so that way you're not stuck in a class that you don't want.
Another way students can improve their learning with technology is through the Communication Arts program. ComArts is a hands-on class that allows students to explore careers and skills in television broadcasting.
Communication Arts has a unique opportunity to support all the core areas in our building, in our curriculum. With our Communication Arts, we do a lot of writing. We do obviously some speech type of programs. We do a lot with the social studies and the history type of topics. And we even add in some science and some math. It's a great opportunity to help kids learn how to work in teams, have some leadership skills, organize their time, and get all their work organized so they can produce a very nice finished product. We use technology quite a bit in Communication Arts, obviously. We have computers in the classroom, 15 Macs that have Final Cut Pro, so they do all their editing in there. But we also have in the studio cameras with many digital features, all the equipment in the control room, the audio board, just about everything we do touches technology.
We are using the computers, which gives us like editing software, and then we can use the cameras. We learn how to be a production assistant, a camera operator, a host, a director. So this is all technology in ComArts.
At Marysville High School, actions speak louder than words. The commitment to utilize technology for student learning is evident in every day and in every way.
Also earning an excellence ranking was Caleb Gordon's documentary, The Making of Dream City, Part 1. This program explored Marysville's earliest settlers. Let's look at a 5-minute excerpt from the program.
Marysville, Michigan. Though the name of the community has changed, one continuity has stayed for certain: the ever-flowing water of the St. Clair River. From the first Native American trading posts to booming industry, the St. Clair River has been the lifeblood of the region. The vastly unexplored Great Lakes brought explorers and businessmen hoping to make their fortune.
During the mid-1600s, French explorers and missionaries came to the region located between Lake Erie and Lake Huron on their search for the Northwest Passage across the North American continent.
Well, one of the first American settlers to come into this area was a man by the name of Zephaniah Bunce, and he built his home right about where the Edison plant is today, and on Bunce Creek. And then he was one of the few that were right in this immediate area until about the time of statehood. And in the 1840s, after Michigan became a state in 1837, after statehood, a large number of people began to move into Marysville.
He also built a store attached to the house, and he did the haberdasher trade, which is like fabrics, and actually he was one of the first ones in this area to make a full suit or pants or a shirt, like how we buy them today. You know, we don't have to make our own, and he was one of the first ones in the area to actually do that. And just an added note, he was the reason that we have Gratiot Avenue.
During the mid-1800s, Vicksburg emerged as a shipbuilding town in addition to the lumber industry. In 1854, Myron Williams, Nathan Reeves, and Nelson Mills bought Edward Vickery's mill. Their lumbering empire was the largest business in Marysville during the period. Another endeavor of Nelson Mills was shipbuilding. For nearly 20 years, Williams built numerous vessels along the St. Clair River to sail up and down the Great Lakes.
1859, we get...
The community of Marysville did not grow much from its inception until the 1900s. Originally known as an unincorporated community within Port Huron Township, Marysville officially became a village in 1919.
Not only did the early 20th century bring the creation of the village of Marysville, the period also marked a turning point in Marysville's future. 3 prominent industries called Marysville home: Morton Salt Company, Detroit Edison's Marysville Power Plant, and C. Harold Wills' St. Clair Automobile Corporation.
The Port Huron-Detroit Railway actually began as an industrial railroad known as the Port Huron and Southern. And it entered Marysville roughly about 1907, 1908. Originally it was designed to serve the industry coming out of Port Huron and down into Marysville, with Morton Salt pretty much being its main feeder line and the end of the route at that particular time.
Morton Salt was one of the leaders in the salt industry, and for the better part of the 20th century, called Marysville home.
Another early business that established themselves in Marysville was the Detroit Edison Marysville Power Plant. Increasing development in the Blue Water area called for reliable electrical power, and construction of the mighty Marysville began in 1914.
Growth was slowly coming out of the city, coming up this way, and for the distribution system, they needed the voltage regulation, so they built the plant up here.
In 1919, C. Harold Wills landed on the shore of what would become the village of Marysville. This became the third step towards Marysville's newfound status. Wills was a top executive at the Ford Motor Company and a personal friend of Henry Ford. When he resigned in 1919, Wills moved upriver to Marysville, which he soon dubbed as the Dream City. In the next years, Wills became a fixture in the Marysville community in his quest to make the Dream City a reality.
Next, Jim Sturridge and Nick Hook took home an excellent score with their behind-the-scenes look at Hollywood in Between the Frames.
Though Hollywood in general is used as a shorthand for the movie-making business, preceding the 1960s, Hollywood was where all the actors, writers, and directors lived. Each producer owned a studio there until the studios were eventually bought up by the Big Five studios of MGM, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and RKO Studios. After a few classics from each studio, the companies got into less than wholesome business practices and left the door wide open to television. In the 1970s, Hollywood was in a bit of a pickle. They had neglected a core audience of teenagers and children as a viable market and had since gone bankrupt. RKO went completely under and left the others as a shell of their former juggernaut selves. The need to adapt gave way to the now famous film brats of Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, George Lucas, and Francis Ford Coppola. They were given a chance as the first generation of movie makers who had grown up with movies. The projects they were now famous for are the movies they were watching when they were young. Gangsters, melodramas, space operas, and sweeping kid-friendly magic, they were all part of their well-known iconography and have given us such gems as The Godfather, Star Wars, Taxi Driver, and Jaws, as well as countless others. I use this as a segue into some of the film styles from the 70s to today. Of the film brats, Martin Scorsese has the most well-defined style and characterized with long, sweeping shots and character-driven stories, but he still gets points for sticking with the story. For instance, in Goodfellas, the main character, Henry Hill, goes through 30 years inside organized crime and shows you what he's thinking.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. To me, being a gangster was better than being president of the United States. It meant being somebody in a neighborhood that was full of nobodies.
This film gave Martin Scorsese his second wind into making classics. Then, in 2006, the film The Departed had an all-star cast, and for the last hour of the runtime, he spent it killing most of them off.
A man makes his own way. No one gives it to you. You have to take it
non serviam.
Steven Spielberg is probably the most versatile of the brats because he started off directing low-budget horror movies like Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but finally hit the stride in the 80s with Indiana Jones and E.T. More recently, his directing of Schindler's List, Munich, and Lincoln leave him shuffling between his enjoyment of childhood classics and his complete control of serious and straightforward dramas.
Do you know why we're here?
Francis Ford Coppola is one of the most self-aware directors of the group. He knows that what he does best are character studies centered on violence and change of character. With giving us the Godfather movies and reinstituting the belief that a sequel can be necessary, he has a handle on what he does best.
But if Clemenza can figure a way to have a weapon planted there for me, then I'll kill them both.
He also gave us Martin Sheen's stunning performance in Apocalypse Now, but he has had some trouble since capturing the same attention he received in the 1970s. But he has recently produced the adaptation of the controversial novel On the Road for release in 2012.
Come in. Mwah! You're taking this very personal. Tom, this is business, and this man is taking it very, very personal.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
Lastly, we have George Lucas. In terms of his directing profile, his best was Star Wars, but has a good portfolio of writing and producing. His filming styles have been predominantly all about the sweeping sci-fi worlds in his movies, and also gave us the Star Wars movies as well as helping Spielberg with Indiana Jones 3. More recently, he has focused more on writing rather than directing. His company has given us Red Tails, the incredible biography of the Tuskegee Airmen during World War II.
After the 70s revitalized the movie industry with all the gambles Hollywood took with the film brats, they realized that it was worth the risk to continue ambitious projects and give chances to names like James Cameron and Ridley Scott. The 1980s didn't yield as many classics as the 70s, but from the 80s to today, several actors, directors, and filming styles came into prominence.
Bruce Willis wasn't a household name through most of the 1980s, which is hard to believe after his part in Die Hard as the sarcastic and immortal character John McClane.
Sorry, Hans, wrong guess. Would you like to go for double jeopardy where the scores can really change?
Since, Willis has enjoyed dozens of roles, including several sequels to Die Hard, The Sixth Sense, Pulp Fiction, and most recently, Looper.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually. I really like those sequin shirts.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay.
Tom Cruise is a name everyone knows, with one of his first roles being with Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, and Emilio Estevez in The Outsiders, but came into his own degree of fame with Top Gun, followed by Rain Man, and A Few Good Men, all by 1992.
Did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
He has been able to recapture his career that had been relatively quiet through the early 2000s, recently with Mission Impossible 4, and a supporting role in the film adaptation of Rock of Ages.
With our incredibly brief rundown of the 1980s actors and directors, let's get into more obscure film styles and movies. The modern B-movie is pretty well extinct, with the exception of a few experiments here and there, most notably Cabin in the Woods. For those of you who may not know, a B-movie is, in a nutshell, a relatively low-budget movie that usually has a small cast, but the ones that stand out make up for it with interesting characters, well-paced stories, and in horror B-movies, playing to suspense as its strength. Examples include the movies of Sam Raimi as well as the Boondock Saints. Exploitation films were all the rage from the 70s to 80s, when patrons at drive-ins were looking for a different kind of movie. The answer was extremely violent and now barely used subgenre of grindhouse films. The only real examples of grindhouse made today are the select movies made by Robert Rodriguez, who admits to watching plenty of them in his childhood and makes them as a salute to his grindhouse classics. Guy Ritchie has a film style that mashes up John Woo's slow motion with a spanning cast of characters all flawed humanly and given conflicting emotions. Much like his counterpart Martin Scorsese, his bread and butter is in crime dramas, but also like Scorsese, he makes it his own with his use of lighting and cuts. Guy Ritchie stormed onto the scene in 1998 with his independent classic Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which gave blockbuster star Jason Statham his first role. He followed it with Snatch, which continued his set style of a large cast of characters and crime noir. Then he was given a comic book movie, which turned into just a Guy Ritchie movie in 2008 with Rock and Rolla. He spent all of his time since on Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes 2.
What do you mean you can't get the public planning? You owe me. Right, I get the building, you lose your share, and I'm still out of pocket 2 large ones. Find it.
Lenny controls the councillors, the judges, and the lawyers. No planning permission will be given until Lenny wants it. And now that he owns the building, he wants the permission.
Hello, councillor.
Robert Rodriguez understands that if he's doing a salute to Grindhouse movies, he needs to have the effects, but he's smart enough as a director and as a writer to remove what didn't work.
Goldie's dead. I've been framed for murder.
Open up, please.
I'll be right out. Walk down the right back alley in Sin City, and you can find anything.
Like in Machete, he uses heavy aging and projector effects for the flashbacks, but then he proves that just because you're there for blood and guts doesn't mean it can't have a brain. His style may only be regurgitating of 1970s exploitation B-movies, but he presents it in a new and fresh way.
Christopher Nolan, though he's most famous for his work with the Dark Knight trilogy, started out with Memento, which is an independent classic along the lines of surprise-ending thrillers. After his stunning reimagining of Batman in The Dark Knight, with fantastic acting from the late Heath Ledger,
You know, you remind me of my father. I hated my father.
he went to work with Leonardo DiCaprio and Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the mind-bending thriller Inception. Christopher Nolan, much like George Lucas, doesn't have a set style per se, but instead characterizes his movies with high concept ideas and the reaction of his characters, even if his emotional responses can fall flat in times. Some of the greatest movies ever made were made under desperate circumstances. With any luck, the next batch of directors will continue the trend of great movie making.
Hulk. Smash.
Senior Carly Bouverie scored high with the judges in her public service announcement, Technology in Schools. This humorous spot reminds students about the appropriate use of technology in the classroom.
Don't get caught with these bad texting habits. With the help of technology, students are now able to access the internet on their phones during class to help them with their schoolwork. Too many kids are getting caught for abusing the privileges that teachers are now giving them. Don't get out your phone in school unless the teacher gives you the go, and be sure it's school appropriate. To review the school handbook, go to www.marysvilleschools.us.
Sarah Ann Klein-Feinberg and Megan Armstrong wowed the judges with a serious PSA about tripping and falling hazards around the house and how to ensure everyone's safety.
1 in 3 adults age 65 or older will fall each year, and 2/3 of these people will fall again within the following 6 months. Environmental factors such as stairs, rugs, and poor lighting can affect mobility in your home. The most common injuries from falls are fractures of the spine, hip, forearm, leg, ankle, pelvis, upper arm, and hand. 1/4 of seniors who fracture a hip from a fall will die within 6 months of the injury. Take the precautions and make your home safer by improving the lighting, installing railings by all stairs, and reducing tripping hazards by using rugs. Be sure to exercise regularly and eat healthy. For more information, go to www.cdc.gov and search home and recreational safety.
Caleb Gordon, Craig Hof, and Jacob Fox starred in a talk show about national, state, and local politics. The show received an excellence rating from the judges. Here is a 5-minute excerpt from the program.
Hello and welcome to the Special Election Update 2012. I'm Caleb Gordon. This year's general election sees a wide range of candidates contending for a variety of different political offices. In this episode, we'll be looking at state representative, county government, and local school board elections. Also, we will let you know where you can vote in this coming election. But first, let's take a look at the contest that everyone is talking about, the 2012 presidential race. Let's start with incumbent Democratic President Barack Obama. Here's Kira Biskarner with a look at the president's background and the policy.
President Obama was born on August 4th, 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii. He graduated from Columbia College in 1983 with an undergraduate degree in political sciences and went on to graduate from Harvard Law School in 1991 with a Juris Doctor's in law. He worked as a community organizer in Chicago and as an associate attorney in the law firms of Sidley and Austin and Hopkins and Sutter. President Obama was a state senator for Illinois from 1997 to 2004. Then he went on to become a U.S. Senator for the state of Illinois from 2005 and was senator until 2008 when he resigned to run for president. He was sworn in January of 2009. President Obama is married to First Lady Michelle Obama, and they have 2 daughters, 14-year-old Malaya and 11-year-old Sasha. President Obama's tax plan promises to help the average American citizen and to raise taxes on the wealthier. President Obama's health care policy makes health care affordable for all American citizens by decreasing costs by $2,500. President Obama has already withdrawn troops from Iraq, and the plan is to remain vigilant in Afghanistan and other regions in the Middle East. President Obama supports gay marriage. He supports federally sponsored preschool programs and publicly sponsored charter schools, and is against the No Child Left Behind policy. I'm Kara Biskarner for Politics Today on M6.
Now let's take a look at the president's challenger for the White House, Republican nominee and former Governor Mitt Romney. Aaron Armstead has the details on Mr. Romney's history and stance on the issues.
Mitt Romney was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1947. He went to Harvard University where he earned a master's degree of business administration. Governor Romney was CEO of Bain Capital. Romney was governor of Massachusetts and ran for the Republican nomination in the 2008 presidential elections. He is married to Ann Romney and has 5 children. Romney's plan promises to reduce taxes for the middle class and small businesses, reform entitlement programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, start withdrawing troops from Afghanistan starting in 2014. He opposes gay marriage. Also, Governor Romney supports charter and private schools and opposes student loans for college students. Governor Romney also plans to spur the economy by supporting small businesses. I'm Aaron Armstead for Politics Today on M6.
This year's presidential race is also stirring up opinions in the student body here at Marysville High School. With the election quickly approaching, many of our students have their own views on who they think is the best candidate. Interviewing some of our students in the comments, here's Angelica Nielsen.
Hi, I'm Angelica Nielsen for Politics Today on M6. I'm here at the Marysville High School Commons where we interviewed students on who they would support for president, whether or not they would have the ability to vote this November. Here are some of their answers.
If I was old enough to vote, I would pick President Barack Obama to continue his term as president because I feel like he's done a lot for this country.
I'm undecided because I just don't think that both candidates are actually capable of leading this country.
I support Mitt Romney because I think he can make some better changes for our country that Barack Obama hasn't been able to make.
I am undecided because I haven't done all my research yet and don't know enough about both candidates.
I support Obama for president simply because it's going to end up being something of lesser of two evils. Romney's got all these plans that are just and Obama's are just slightly better in my opinion.
I would support Romney because Obama really didn't help our economy the years he was president.
Junior Danielle Roberge's PSA about Halloween safety was right on the mark with the judges. Danielle earned an honors rating for her project.
Trick-or-treating can be a fun or dangerous activity for children to do on Halloween. Here are some tips for staying safe during your Halloween fun. Travel in groups and with an adult. Avoid going into a stranger's home, even if they offer you to come inside. Be sure to check all of your candy before you eat it. Make sure you do not eat candy that has been opened. Happy Halloween from M6, your hometown station.
Wayne Heights' public service announcement about getting active reminds all of us why it's important to get off the couch and keep fit. Wayne was awarded with an honors rating.
Almost, but I can't get Dana off the couch. She's too busy playing her video games. Now with new technology, it's harder to get kids out of the house.
Kids these days.
There are many other ways to be active.
Like sports.
Walking.
And weightlifting.
Riding a dirt bike.
Play tag.
Yeah, even tag. I'll go and get her out now.
Dana, will you please go outside and play with us?
No.
Please?
No.
Get off your butt, you lazy bum!
For more ways to get active, go to www.letsmove.gov/getactive.
Playing a team sport in school has many benefits, as I point out in my sports promotional video. I was awarded with honors score by the judges.
Have always been a huge part in a lot of teenagers' lives. Playing an MHSAA sport can benefit teens by teaching them
teamwork, dedication,
sportsmanship,
cooperation. Can you rise to the challenge?
Many teens volunteer their time to local charities and organizations. Junior Caitlin Herring highlighted those efforts in her PSA about teen volunteers.
I can't wait until this weekend.
Why are you finally going outside?
Yeah, I'm probably going mostly for any good CDs out. You guys want to come?
I'm in. Sure, sounds great.
How about you, Don? You want to come?
No, I'm busy.
Doing what?
I think I'm gonna help out at the soup kitchen this weekend.
Why? Did you get in trouble or something?
No, what would I do to get in trouble? I just think it'd be nice to help out for once, make a difference. You guys should really consider it. It'd be nice to have some company.
You know, I think you might be onto something. I don't need a new CD anyway.
Yeah, and we already went to the mall last weekend.
There are many places to volunteer in St. Clair County. You can volunteer at the Hospice Center, the Domestic Abuse Centers, soup kitchens, or if you would rather start small, you can help a neighbor with their yard work. Every little bit can make a difference and brighten someone's day. So go ahead, volunteer.
Most teenagers can't wait to get behind the wheel and begin driving. However, Kenny Steele points out in his PSA many safety considerations needed to get everyone in their destinations in one piece.
Driving is an easy and convenient way to travel, but can also be dangerous, especially for young teenagers who are just beginning to drive. Last year, 284,049 car accidents occurred in the state of Michigan alone. 551,397 people were involved in these crashes. 54,269 of them were teenagers. Here are some tips so that you can drive safely. Always be sure to buckle up before you begin your trip. Turning onto another road is always a risk. Use your turn signal to alert other drivers you are about to turn. Finally, always try to avoid causing road rage. That's all the tips we have for today. From M6, wishing you safe driving.
Well, congratulations to all of our student winners. Your projects were both informative and entertaining. We look forward to bringing you more award-winning programs next year on M6, your hometown station.